I grew up in a family where mental illness was never discussed, and I didn't see any movies or read any books concerning mental illness until I was in my late teens. And my maternal grandmother suffered from Alzheimer's. It's not really a mental disorder that I'm aware of. It's a completely different thing. But anytime somebody's behavior or speech doesn't match the stereotypical behavior of someone's age, gender, or just what is expected, it's never discussed. If somebody has a life-threatening ailment or it's a danger to themselves, it was never discussed in my parents' home. And it's so damaging how Baptist churches never talk about mental illness unless it has to do with the Bible. And it's never something that's ever framed as, it's not the person's fault. It's genetics. I don't want to call it being unlucky, but there are certain mental disorders and behavioral disorders that are passed down from a specific genealogy or from a specific parent. And there is always a chance that if one or both parents has a more susceptible chance of passing down a gene, mental illness can happen. And that's just one type of mental illness. Until recently, in the last, I'd say 30 years, we're starting to see more positive representations of mental illness. I remember that back when my parents were young in the 50s and 60s, mental illness was framed as someone going psycho, someone who would kill you. Now we've moved into a more open door, open communication zone. So when children and adults are diagnosed with things like bipolar and schizophrenia, psychosis, postpartum depression, manic depression, it's not seen as much today as a fatal flaw or God's judgment or the result of sin. It's viewed as a serious matter that needs to be addressed with someone who's a licensed doctor or an appropriate legal medical professional. We can have conversations now about mental illness. But growing up in an environment that erased anything that wasn't white, straight, and what I call sterile, where we don't talk about the failures of white people. We don't talk about how white people hurt communities. And if you're in a state that absolutely makes it illegal for critical race theory to be taught, the next generation of people in the Bible Belt area in the South will grow up never understanding how your race and gender decides your quality of life. And if you're the lucky few who succeed and you're not white, I mean, there are exceptions. Where you live, the amount of money you make per hour, even how safe your life may be, it's all about race and gender. And the younger you are, the more value you have. You look at a woman who's 20 years of age, she has more value in society than a woman who's 50. Once women hit the threshold of 40 to 45, our society, at least the male worldview, deems them of having no value or a big drop in value. And this is the kind of environment, and it's not just religious, it's secular, and every political party and philosophical foundation deep down believes that who you are determines your value. And not the good things either. And when you grow up in fundamentalist Baptist churches, there's little to no positive reinforcement or representation of mental illness. I mean, you look at the Bible. Every time someone suffered from a mental illness, it was the result of sin. The crazy man in the New Testament that would throw rocks off cliffs, and Jesus healed him. The crazy man in the desert. It was not framed as something that the man could not stop. Nebuchadnezzar, when he left the palace and for 7 years ate like a donkey and walked like a donkey, he was viewed as punishment from God. King Saul having an evil spirit, it was a punishment for disobedience. I don't remember anyone in the Bible that had a mental illness where it wasn't framed as a judgment from God. It's not even just mental illness. It's blindness and being shorter than you're supposed to be. Being more independent. I mean, you look at the Bible. People who are blind, it was believed by society in the Jewish nation in the ancient world that you committed a sin or your parents had committed a sin. And people carry this kind of shame through their entire life. How many people choose not to get psychiatric and medical assistance to find out what's wrong with them? And they become depressed, suicidal, and now there's nobody to care for because they end their life. Mental illness is not a judgment from any made-up deity or spiritual worldview. It's the result of being alive. Nobody does anything to warrant mental illness. Nobody deserves a mental illness. It's not a punishment. It's usually something that goes wrong in your body, or your body isn't functioning properly, it isn't producing something properly, or it's something that goes through families, genetics. I mean, your race can really determine, are you more susceptible to cardiovascular problems? Are you more likely to have